security, I believe it is a major part of the devastating budget deficit we have. We've spent $4 trillion that was put into our debt in the last 10 years with our overseas commitments. So this bringing troops home, you don't have to put them out of the military immediately. The immediate effect of bringing troops home rapidly would be that all of a sudden, all those military personnel would be spending their money in this country, not in Germany and Japan. Under conditions of war, whether it's a war overseas or a war against the American people in a war that they call the war on drugs, I think we should stop all those wars. It's actually a war on our civil liberties, and we have seen this systematically, especially since 9/11. 9/11 was a serious matter. I voted to whatever we can to go after those individuals responsible. I was discouraged rather rapidly after 9/11 because they used it as an excuse to do something they had been planning on doing for 6 years. And my first speech against the Iraqi war was in 1998 because it was clearly evident to me that they were going to do that. But after 9/11 occurred, it seemed like it took about 10 years to get one guy with all the weapons and all the technology we have. It takes 10 years to find him. But what did we do? We went into Iraq. We went into nation building and invaded these various countries. You know, if you add up the contractors, we've lost close to 9,000 Americans in this period of time, 44,000 severe injuries. We have hundreds of thousands of veterans today begging and pleading for help. We have an epidemic of suicide of people who have come home from Iraq and Iran. So it is very high cost, and obviously it would be much better if we had not gotten involved. But in the other area, at home, the real enemy right now, in my estimation, because I do believe we have a powerful, efficient military, so I don't believe we have to worry about it. But I do believe in the second half of our oath of office that we have to defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So once again, shortly after 9/11, within a week or two, there was a bill brought to the floor that had been floating around the Congress for several years, but it never had enough support and they couldn't get it passed. But on after 9/11, they said, now is the time that we'll pass this wonderful bill that's going to protect the people, the Patriot Act. Patriot Act is very unpatriotic, if you want to know. So that bill was passed rather rapidly. It gives one member of Congress told me he had to vote for it. He says, I didn't have time to read it, but it was called the Patriot Act, and how could I go home and explain it if I voted for it? I tried to explain to him that was his job. He was supposed to go home and explain why he voted the right way. But in the bills, you may have noticed this already, but in Washington they name a bill, and the name always sounds pretty good. It's just assume, maybe not 100%, but just assume that the name of the bill will be opposite of what they're trying to do. But if they had called that repeal the Fourth Amendment Act, maybe it wouldn't have passed so easily. But the undermining of our Fourth Amendment rights, especially at airports, all is a consequence of the Patriot Act. As far as I'm concerned, private property and individuals should be protected, but they should be protected by the property owners and not by the TSA. Allow it to stand and look at the pictures we've seen on televisions and newspapers.